Hi, I'm going to take some time and go over chapter 1 and chapter 2. And I really want to look at the PowerPoint with you, and I want to give you more information that I have that I think is really vital to the things discussed on the PowerPoint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay, so what you should see now is the main PowerPoint. Okay. So right here, just kind of getting us going here. It really wasn't until 1970 and after that we really started to protect our workers. So that's kind of what this movement is here. In 1970, we had around 14,000 deaths per year on the job site. 1992, we had 6,237 deaths. And in 2013, which really wasn't that long ago, we had 4,585 deaths. So the idea of the safety movement became really important in our society. If we were looking at just kind of the way that safety dates back in the world that we live in today, it's kind of a newer concept, maybe been around about 20 years or so, in the sense of having a degree in safety. That's even newer. That's an even newer concept. In 1907, around 3,200 people were killed in a mining accident. Mining was kind of our number one thing that really pushed safety in the United States. Okay. And this is kind of their idea of it, especially back here in 2000 BC, was if a man had caused the loss of a gentleman's eye, his own eye shall be lost. So they were kind of looking at the idea of carelessness, recklessness on the job site and things like that. It's not necessarily like that today. In today's society, though, eye injuries alone cost more than $300 million per year. And that's just in lost production time. So that's just your individuals being at work and things like that. I thought these statistics was pretty neat. Over 300,000 people visited the ER in 2014 for eye-related injuries. So if you were just looking here, you could kind of see the number of on-job eye injuries in 2012. And these are things that are non-fatal. One thing you're going to learn about OSHA as you kind of move through this is OSHA places a dollar amount on every part of your body. And I know that's really hard to kind of understand, but what is your pinky worth to you? What is your eye worth to you? Well, OSHA has a dollar amount that it's established per body part. And we'll kind of talk about that as we move forward. Here's just kind of some of the milestones. It is important to know that children used to work. Children worked in cotton mills. They worked long hours. It was really hard work. Often the conditions around this particular time were unfair. They're unhealthy, and they just were not safe. So a lot of things kind of had to come into play, with your first records of a safety program being in 1892. And these were very, very small. The first factory inspection started in 1867. So that's when they actually started doing safety inspections in industry. In 1869, mine safety laws came into effect. And one of the biggest laws was the idea that in a mine, you have to have 2 exit routes. So 2 ways to get out of the mine. And if you look around in places you are today, if you go to the movie theater, if you're in a big classroom, an auditorium, there's more ways to get out of that room than just one. So that's still in effect today. It is important to know that President Nixon is kind of the big push here to put this into public law. Okay. Today, what we're dealing with is 4 people are injured per 100,000 people. That's work-related injuries. So for every 100,000 workers, we get 4 people who are seriously injured. Okay. There are places that still operate with unions. We'll talk about that more as we go on throughout there. I'm just doing an overview of this. So on this particular slide here, when you're looking at different health issues with the workplace, and this is kind of dating back. So this is in the idea of a silicosis, which I show you a couple videos on where they built some mines and things like that. Please watch those videos because they really do tie to what we're talking about on the slide and what your book is talking about. What was interesting about asbestos is they kind of seen this as like the do all, like they could use asbestos for everything. It was in tile, it was in ceilings, it was all over. But then after a while, people started to develop cancer. Well, what we knew about it was most hazardous when demolished. So it was when we were destroying it. And this was a big push around the 50s and 60s and so on. So we still see areas today that have asbestos tile on it. So that is a pretty big issue. So please watch those videos. This kind of just going around with it here. If you were looking at the Hawks Nest tragedy, this was considered to be one of the most dangerous just industrial disasters in American history. No mask, a lot of silica dust. They said somewhere around like 476 deaths. I would think there was probably more. They just weren't all accounted for. Okay. When you're looking at these particular issues, it's all like lung disease. So it affects your ability to breathe and things like that. So widely used accident prevention techniques. You're going to hear a lot about these lockouts, isolation, fail-safe designs. We're going to go through some of those as we move forward as well. Okay. Screening. I love this idea. The idea of screening is to actually make sure that you get the person for the job who fits the job. So that's what a lot of people have a hard time understanding is when we make these job descriptions and we need somebody who can lift 25 pounds consistently and carry that 25 pounds 50 feet. It's important to put that kind of stuff on those job descriptions. If we get better workers, more equipped workers, we're less likely to deal with injuries and things like that. So this is just talking about the National Safety Council. Everything you see on here with the National Safety Council, National Safety Management Society, American Society of Safety Engineers, they all have their own websites. So you could go on there and become part of their organization. So you could buy a membership, a student membership into a lot of these here. But that was kind of the main thing. I wanted to just spend a little bit of time with you looking at the chapter 1 PowerPoint. So I'm going to go ahead and roll into the chapter 2 PowerPoint. So that way we could just have both of them on here for you. That way you don't have to stop this video just to connect to the next one, especially since chapter 1 and 2 are located together within this module. So it does make it a little bit easier for you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. This is for chapter 2 as a reminder. Let's try to get that from the beginning. Okay, there we go. So this is chapter 2. There's been a long debate in our history of safety of kind of like how do accidents happen? Where do accidents come from? Who's responsible for accidents? The worker or the company. So who do we blame, I guess you could say, for the accidents that actually occur? Okay. Accident prevention programs are costly. They do. They just cost a lot of money. So companies don't always take the initiative to do that. Hiring a safety professional is not cheap. Okay. So as we move forward, just kind of looking at this here, this was just kind of giving you some statistics here. It's insane to me to look at this number, $150 billion annually. But please keep in mind, this isn't just like what it costs to go to the doctor. This is all of it. This is the time that you lost at work. This is the time you spent in the hospital. This is the time you spent leaving work to go to rehab or therapy or whatever it may be. So there's a lot going into play here. So some of the leading causes of accidental deaths in the U.S. So this is accidental deaths in the U.S., not necessarily on the job site or anything like that. When you're looking at motor vehicle accidents, somewhere around 47,000 per year. So this is per year. Falls is a big one, and falls is a hard one because a lot of these occur in construction. Okay, there's 13,000 deaths per year in general, but some of these are from letters at people's homes, trying to put up Christmas lights, things like that. Poisoning, there's two different types of poisoning to think about. Solid and liquids, about 6,000 deaths per year. Gases and vapors, that's another part of poisoning, and it's about 1,000 deaths per year. Drowning, work and non-work related drownings, about 5,000 drownings per year. There's a population of people who can't swim, have lack of experience in water, things like that. Fire-related injuries, about 4,000 per year. Suffocations, around the same thing. And a lot of times with the suffocations, it's just ingesting an object, really just getting something stuck in your throat, about 4,000 deaths per year. So natural disasters make the news a lot more than any of these, even though these things cause a lot more deaths. So I always thought that that was kind of weird. If you were to look at firearms, which isn't really listed on here, that a firearm, a person killed in their home while cleaning, that would be considered an accident. So say that the firearm was under the mattress and they were trying to put new sheets on the bed or something like that, and the firearm was to go off, we see about 2,000 deaths per year related to that. So these are the leading cause of death in the United States. Heart disease is the #1 killer in females. So #1 killer in women is going to be heart disease, and then cancer and stroke, then accidents under stroke. So if I was to add one, I would add accidents on there as well. Ages that we'd be looking at for accidental deaths would be anywhere from age 25 to 44. Okay. What we do consider, though, prime working age is 37 and under. So I thought that that was kind of neat. Is like, okay, so the prime worker, the most you're going to get out of somebody is somebody under the age of 37. But that's just the statistics on it there. So take that however you want. But if you think about it, for every dollar spent on responding to an accident, that's just another dollar that you lose out of your pocket. So that means that there's not a raise for that quarter or that year. We can't update our equipment and we can't hire more people, right? If we are consistently seeing accidents on the job site, we are consistently losing money, right? And that's just a big part of it. If you look, and this is just in the book that I have, but if you look at figure 2-1 and 2-2 and break down the amounts by the categories of accidents, it's kind of neat to kind of see that breakdown. So the book does have some really good information in there. So take just a second and kind of look over that. Like I said, I'm just doing a quick review here so you can see it. So if we're looking at costs in the United States, keep in mind this is at that $150 billion for accidents. But when I look at accidents, I take a lot of things into consideration. Lost wages. So I break my toe at work, right? And I work on salary, but then I also get commission or I get bonuses if I reach a certain amount. Well, guess what? If I'm home with a broke toe, I'm not going to get those bonuses. I'm not going to get that little extra incentive. I'm still going to get my salary, because that's what OSHA protects. OSHA protects us in the sense of if we are injured on the job, we still have these particular benefits, but they don't have to give me all that extra, right? I've got medical expenses, insurance issues, property damage, all lost by workers who are injured or killed. So injured or killed on the job, that this is what we see. Here's just some occupations that are more likely to see fatalities on the job. These are on roughly around page 22 in your book. If you don't care, take a look at these. But what we do know is with the push of safety, there has been a decrease in accidents and fatalities on the job site. This is just a continuing list there, another continuing list. I'm not going to go through all of this. As I said, this is just kind of a quick overview, a quick review for you. I do want to take a minute to look at this. There is so much research on what leads to accidents and injuries on the job site. And these to me are some of like the most important for you to think about as a safety professional. This very, very first one to me is like the most important, because 31% of all injuries happen to somebody who is overworked, who is tired, who is stressed out, who did not get enough sleep last night. They are wore down. That's that overexertion. Okay. This is their physical limit. So everybody has a different limit of what they can do, what they can reach, how this is going to affect them. That's overexertion. Like I get tired maybe quicker than my husband gets tired, or vice versa. I'm not a huge component of the idea of like 12-hour shifts, 4 days, 12-hour shift, just push it, just so you get like 3 days off work. That's overexertion. Accidents are more likely to happen in the last part of your shift. When you're extra tired, you're really ready to go home. We're a lot of times careless in certain situations. 12-hour days are rough. Another thing that you see with overexertion is changing in shifts. So say that you're at a facility and they do 4 days where the person's on days, right? And then they got like 2 days off, and then they come back for 4 days and the person's on nights. Watch for this overexertion, because got to think outside the box here. These people have a life outside of this facility and things like that. So impact injuries, this just involves a worker being struck by or struck against something. So they could be hit by a vehicle, ran over by the forklift, pinched between a wall and machinery. That's what you're looking at with this impact injuries. So kind of make sure you understand the differences between that. Motor vehicle accidents. One thing with safety is you've got to have a good driving record, especially if you plan to go into like oil and gas, because they have to see your safety record or your driving record to make sure they can insure you. So you can drive one of their vehicles. They can give you per diem or an allowance for your vehicle. So keep that in mind. Obviously, if you got some speeding tickets, probably not that big of a deal. Don't get anything too crazy on there. Okay. I'm not going to go through all of this. I really just want to get to this body part. This is just a ranking of injuries based on the body part, what we see most frequently hurt on the job site. Backs being number one. This is roughly around page 25 in your book. But this is just really the idea of people do not know how to properly lift. If you even go to a gym, a workout facility, you will see people in there consistently lifting wrong. We like to arch our back, kind of like a cat back. People do this in the workplace as well. I love to implement the 2-man lift roll. So that does reduce some of the back injuries. When you require anything over like 20 pounds or anything over 25 pounds, you require 2 employees to lift that particular object, or you eliminate a lot of the lifting by using pallet jacks and things like that. So really kind of taking care of your people in that way. Here are just some other body parts that we look at here. I'm going to kind of keep rolling through that. Chemicals most frequently involved in chemical burns. 1/3 of these particular accidents all happen in manufacturing. So to me, that's a pretty big number. 46% of all chemical burn injuries while working has something to do with cleaning. They are cleaning some equipment. They're cleaning a vehicle. They're cleaning tools. Okay, that's where you see 46% of these injuries actually happening. When you're looking at this here, these are really important just to kind of familiarize yourself with. Okay. We want to ensure that our maintenance staff, especially in an industrial setting, ensures that all the machineries is cleaned properly. But we want to make sure that we've provided them with information on their protective equipment that's going to protect them from whatever these chemicals can actually do, and that we replace their protective equipment when they need it. So that'll be a big thing helping with some of these that get to the skin and burn us and things like that. When we were looking at causes of heat burn, 40% of all injuries in this particular area also occur in manufacturing. It's amazing to me how many individuals I've seen get burned by steam. So they take a valve and they loosen it and the steam comes out and it burns them, things like that. try to work fast or careless. That's a lot of times what you see that lead to these particular accidents. Most common activities with this particular one is going to be welding. If you've ever done any welding or cutting with a torch or handling a torch, that's where these burns are going to come in into play at. Make sure that they have the right protective equipment on. Carpal tunnel syndrome. I swear, sometimes I feel like I am on the verge of this. My hands hurt a lot. If you've done any intensive writing, you see that. But with that being said, we're seeing it with the computers. We're seeing them with the computers, the soft tissues in the hands and in the shoulders, the wrist, the neck. That's what's being injured here with carpal tunnel syndrome. Okay. Women are much more likely to experience carpal tunnel syndrome, according to research. 1.96 per 1,000 full-time workers. So almost 2 workers per 1,000 will have some type of CTS syndrome. So just kind of looking at that. This right here is right around page 27. I'm not going to go over it. Right about page 27. Accident rates. Estimating the cost of accidents is right about page 29 and 30. So it's really important that you look at that and kind of understand how to estimate some of these costs. And I'll try to get some information put up there for you as well. All right, guys, I know that this is a longer video, but it does cover 2 chapters and kind of gives you a breakdown, and you get to see my face and get to know me a little bit better as we move forward. Please expect videos for every single module, or sometimes I may just send it in your weekly announcement, but I want for you to know that my door is going to be open anytime that you have questions. If you're on campus, swing by. If you live close, swing by. If you don't, I understand that. Call me, email me, so I can help you be successful.